Good day, and thanks for joining us for this week for Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. Glad to be in our new studios at the beginning of 2025. Thanks to Willow Window for the opportunity to have the new video and audio studio, and we appreciate them and being the sponsor. Happy New Year, 2025. Where did 2024 go to? Doesn't seem possible. That year is already gone. We were talking earlier about the year 2000. And how we were worried about the computers not changing over and the earth coming down.
Everything's crashing.
Everything's crashing and everything. And here we are 25 years later and still going. Well, this is our first show of the new year, and it's going to be on economic development, something very important to our community. It's a big subject for our county. I've got two experts with me today that is going to be talking about economic development and how we make it work here in Putnam County. Amy New, she's the CEO of the Cookeville Putnam County Chamber of Commerce, and John Ward, he's the Community Development Director over Planning and Codes and Economic Development for the City of Cookeville. Guys, thanks for being on the show this week.
Thanks for having us. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah. Clean slate, brand new year, get to start.
I love it. I love a new year, new calendar, all the things.
Everything, yeah. Just wipe away the old and new, and so many possibilities. We don't know what the year's going to bring, but looking for good stuff. So, economic development, Amy. So you've been involved in this for a long time at the state. You were the assistant commissioner, economic development at the state before you decided to come back home to the chamber. And I was looking up economic development and what the definition of it was. Webster says it's the process of improving a community's economic quality of life and social well-being. When you started at the state, and this kind of all started with the state of Tennessee, and it's worked its way down of economic development and us becoming such a business friendly and a good state. How do you see how we've done over the last several years when it comes to economic development?
I'd say in Putnam County, compared to the rest of the state, we have done so well. And even from the state level, I feel like even back to 2010, which John was at ECD with me as well, back to 2009, 2010 is where we continued, or where we kind of started all the momentum of like bringing in big jobs and big companies. And we had announcements literally like every couple of weeks in some part of the state. And then come around 2014, 2015, the focus really went on how do we improve our rural communities.
Yeah.
And luckily, Putnam County got to be part of that in our surrounding counties. So I feel like there was a big push in all of the counties to make sure that there were jobs announcements. There was community development going on, because you can't have economic development without community development. So I feel like we've done really well here. And you can look at numbers, because back in 2010, we had double-digit unemployment rates, and today we're sitting at what? It's like 3%. It's under 3.
3.5, maybe, almost historical lows.
Yep.
And you brought up a thing going back several years. Putnam County years ago, we only had a few big employers. I mean, we're looking at Russell Stover Candy, TRW, Fleet Guard at the time, which changed to Cummins, and I think has a new another new name. But we weren't very diverse when it came to the company. So Russell Stover's, when they went out, that's like 1,000 jobs lost. TRW, hundreds lost. We changed that though, right? With the way we're doing things today, we're trying to diversify to where that we lose any one business, we're not really hurting our community that bad.
That's correct. And we continue to diversify, whether it's large business, small business, like you talked about earlier with Russell Stover's. Look at the business that's in there now with Athena and everything that they're doing and their expansion. So, or hopeful expansion soon. So.
Yeah, it's
good stuff.
Lots of good stuff. I go back to 2014. Your mom was county exec and standing over in Dogwood Park, and our community was hungry for jobs. Mm-hmm. We lost all those jobs trying to bring in new businesses, and they were making the announcement that we were getting Academy Sports, big 1.67 million square foot retail distribution center down off the new Tennessee Avenue, what was about to be. And that was a huge announcement for our community.
That was kind of the start. After that, I mean, it just continued to have announcement after announcement.
That was a huge announcement. One of the biggest facilities in the state.
Yeah, and John, we brought in, that was just the kickoff with the Academy Sports in 2014. Then we had FACOSA, 900 new jobs. SAIC, 300 new high-tech jobs. Digital Dream Forge, 80 new high-tech jobs. Colorobia, 30 new jobs. Automation Tool did a big expansion, 120 new engineering jobs. Flexall Corporation, 20 new high-tech jobs in the aerospace industry. And then Portobello, the new largest project in Putnam County, $200 million, 1.2 million square foot, 230 new jobs. That was just like all of a sudden it just went crazy, and we started bringing in all these new companies. And you were involved in all that at the city with all the planning and development and everything that had to take place. Busy time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was working regionally for ECD in economic development when Academy was announced. I was with the state. I remember the day the governor showed up in Dogwood Park to announce that project statewide. That was a big deal. And just a testament to the planning the Highlands Industrial Park, the cooperation between the city of Cookeville and Putnam County. You know, without that industrial park, we wouldn't have had Academy, and we wouldn't have had Tennessee Avenue. We wouldn't have had the 5th Interchange, right? Or it wouldn't have happened as soon as it did, right? So, just a lot of good decisions made by leadership to make those things, put those cogs in motion.
And you hit on something I think that we talk about all the time is how well we work together. City, county, the other smaller cities, chamber, hospital, Tennessee Tech. I mean, it's almost like a big family.
The A-team is what it is. It's the A-team, but yes, it's like a big family.
We don't see that everywhere else.
No, not at all.
We did the story I love to tell to show that things aren't that great in other places. Involves TSSAA football. You know, we had the Blue Cross Bowl here for years, and we were looking at trying to extend the contract on it. And so we had to go to Nashville and do what I call a dog and pony show.
That's exactly what it is.
You know, and try to entice them to extend our contract. And we had another city that was wanting the playoffs. And so we all load up in this huge van, and we all got our parts to do, and we go to Nashville, and we put our performance on, and we did a great job. And then the other city that I won't name that was up against us, they came in and there was only 2 people, and they did their thing. And then afterwards we found out that we got extended for another 3 or 4 more years, and we were all curious as to why there was only 2 of them. Well, get to questioning and find out that the city and county mayor in that county won't even ride together in the same vehicle.
Yep. Isn't that sad?
It's sad,
Yes.
isn't it, to think that you have communities that won't that don't get along. But you and I remember a time.
Oh yeah.
Here when it was that way years ago, that if the city came up with the idea, the county was against it.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Commission and councils too, which we really have the sweet spot right now. We need to make sure we maintain that too, but we have a sweet spot right now because we need to get that Blue Cross Bowl back. Goals once the Tech Stadium's done.
Keeping our fingers crossed with the TTU new stadium coming up. We don't need to take that for granted,
No,
though, do we? That
not at all.
Along so well.
No.
John, I think you were involved when we had the consultant that came in, and Amy too, that we was looking at what we were doing good and what we were doing bad, and they talked about that. They said, but we were only one election away or one person changing that could totally destroy that. And
Absolutely.
It was the property evaluation program.
Oh, yeah,
We
the
were
PEP.
evaluating properties for what would be the best locations, best options for future industrial development, and that was one of their big comments because they go all over the state of Tennessee through that program and work with different communities, and they definitely recognize the cooperation here.
I remember Jonathan Jamenden reporting that back out to the state, and I was like, that is so true. One election away from, because we do, like you said, we have such a good, the synergy here is
it's
really
great. We just got to make sure we keep it going and don't take it for granted. So, Amy, one of the things we were talking about with economic development, the big thing was jobs to start with. We needed new businesses and new jobs. We did that in 2014.
Yes.
Started bringing in all these new businesses, but it's not all just about jobs, is it?
No, it's not. And that's why we have the Highlands Economic Partnership that Putnam County and City of Cookeville are so graciously part of and constantly pouring into. But the Highlands Economic Partnership started almost 21 years ago, which is crazy. We just celebrated 20th anniversary, but it started based off how do we find land to put these
Yes.
jobs, because we didn't have any jobs. And like we talked about earlier in the show, we were sitting at double-digit unemployment rates. So how do we make sure that we have jobs in our community? And so they started in identifying sites, and then like you talked about, John, the Highlands Business Park came up, and then we identified other sites in the other counties, and then had that big stretch of all these wins, like you talked about,
over and over and over and
over and over. And now we're at this point where we're sitting, like you said earlier, in 3% unemployment, 3.5% unemployment. So we have to be very careful about preserving what we have. And I know we do that every day with the city and the county, and planning properly, but also being almost, we can be very selective now.
Yeah, almost peaky,
Yes.
can't we? And
What we bring in.
Yeah, and because we're looking for high-paying jobs, not any more $10 and $12
No.
jobs. We've got plenty of those, and we don't have the workforce to fill those. So we want to make sure that we try to move everybody's salaries up with some of these great new jobs. And we've had some good companies come in. SAIC was a big one with working with tech and bringing in those high-paying jobs, and we got several that we're looking at on the roster to see if we wind up getting some. But I got to tell the story about the Highlands. Of course, Adam Poe, we give Adam a shout out that he's your VP and
Does
over
a
the
great
Highlands. Jackson, Overton, Putnam, and White counties work together, just like the city of Cookeville and Baxter, Allgood, Monterey, and the county, and everybody works together. We want to make sure that if we have a company coming in and we can't find a good place for them in Putnam County, we want them to go to one of those 4 counties. If we can't find a good place there, we want them to go somewhere in the Upper Cumberland. If they can't find a place there somewhere in the state of Tennessee, that's our goal, is to keep those companies here. We almost lost one, Horman Garage Door Company, that is in White County now. We're next to the airport, got a great place there, great business. They were wanting to come into Putnam County down at the old racetrack.
Yes.
We're at Baxter Exit, and there was only one issue. Amy, what was that?
The cell phone tower, right?
One cell phone tower standing
You would
in the
think
way.
you could just move it over.
We thought that would just be easy, didn't we? Impossible. We couldn't get it moved. So instead of that company going somewhere else in another state or wherever, we started looking at, okay, what about a surrounding county? Immediately, White County came up with a property they had at the airport. Wound up working out better for them, because after they didn't go there, we got a $200 million tile company, Portobello, that put in at that. So it just, we were talking earlier about everything.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. Yes.
And that one happened for a reason too. So the Highlands Partnership has been really good for our community to be able to work together with all these counties. Well, it didn't stop with jobs and new businesses. We got all these people that moved in. It had to be some quality of life issues change, John. And so one of the big things that people started looking at that we're moving here is we want places that we can go shop at. And so we kind of converted over. We still were looking for some of those new businesses with the high-paying jobs. We started looking at retail and trying to increase the number of stores that we have here, so you're not driving to Nashville or Knoxville or wherever. And this list that I've been keeping since 2016, I thought was pretty amazing, with all the new businesses that we've added with retail shops. We started off with Ollie's Bargain Outlet, and it just went crazy from there. Harbor Freight Tools, Ulta Beauty, Publix Grocery Store, PetSmart, Ross Department Store, Academy Sports Retail Store, Five Below, Shoe Carnival, Carter's Oshkosh Kids Store, Torrid Store. Hobby Lobby decided they needed a new location. Moved over on Jackson Street. Home Goods came in by Target. Bargain City Furniture. Gabe's then took the old Hobby Lobby building and redid it. Then we started seeing small businesses come in. Eden on Broad, Harper's Rare Books. They've even got a new location now.
Plenty Bookshop moved into Harper's.
Harper's, and then it's all worked about. Then we got Food City out at East 10th Street. Just had Wendy's open up out in that shopping center, John, and Big R Farm and Home, Cookeville Kitchen Sales, the new TA Travel Center. I mean, you just go on and on and on. Monterey got Landers, KTM, Mayberry's Home Furnishings just opened up down on South Jefferson. The list just goes on, and that changed the atmosphere of our community, didn't it? Because now all of a sudden we've got those jobs, we've got these business, but we've got these retail shops. At Eagle Point was a big part of that. We were able to keep all of those tax dollars here instead of them going somewhere else, John.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of great retail developments in the past few years with the shops at Eagles Point, the old Kentucky Commons, and all of our other retail space. And you don't see very few vacancies at this point, right? I mean, essentially everything's full. That's something we've talked about is, telling our story in the retail world. Our population of 34,800 doesn't hit the demographic numbers for a lot of these national retailers. So the city of Cookeville actually contracted with a consultant, Retail Strategies, to help us come in and tell our story. And they've helped us along the way during some of these recruitment efforts that we've seen. And I think when a company does end up coming here, they outperform they outperform what they had projected, because we are such a regional draw here in the city of Cookeville.
Well, a perfect example is Jim at Texas Roadhouse says that they did 3 times the amount of revenue in the first year that they thought they would do. Yeah. That's huge.
And now they're doing an expansion already. So, yeah.
You do what I do, though. We were talking earlier. When you go to a big retail place, what you do is you're walking in.
You pay attention to all the license plates. And it's crazy. From Kentucky to, all over. People are here.
And that's what makes our area so good, is we become the retail hub for the region, all the way from state to state line to state line. And you look at those cars, and they're from all over. We got a lot of our smaller counties around. They don't even have a hospital. No. They don't have much retail, so they're coming here for medical care, retail, restaurants, all those things, and then they travel back home.
And that's another reason you talking about the hospital and their expansion.
Brand new floor they just renovated.
Almost 20-something beds, and then plans to have another 30 in 2025. And a new cancer center there where, we'll have people being able to have treatment here at home.
Just added
from all over.
Yeah, just added dialysis beds inside the hospital. They can do dialysis. We live in a great community that we are blessed that we've got all these things, and that these other people come here. And we're very thankful for those surrounding counties and all those folks that come here to medical care, eat, shop, all those kind of things. Keeps our sales tax high and all those things, doesn't it, John?
Yep. Keeps your property taxes lower.
That's right. We're talking about economic development this week on our show. I've got Amy New. She's the CEO of the Cookeville Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. We've got John Ward. He is the community. You got your name, John, Community Development Director, but you're really over planning and codes and economic development, everything the city, everything that James Mills wants you to do. Basically, you're there, right? Glad to have y'all on the show. We're talking about economic development in Putnam County and how good it's been over the last several years. We talked about new businesses, new jobs, and new retail. We got all that. Quality of life we're looking at. People want a place to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Amy, you go back to when I do. When I came here, when I moved to Tennessee Tech, in 79, we had very few eating places.
All we had was Ponderosa. And Pizza Hut here had the buffet when I was growing up. But, yes, Ponderosa.
And then Captain D's and McDonald's, those little places down around the interstate. But that was about it, other than some privately owned mom-and-pop type shops. But then we started looking at restaurants, and I was looking at some of these that we added. Blue Pig, Fiesta Cancun, Panda Express, Popeyes, Five Guys Burgers, Chipotle, Panera Bread, Romo's, 37-seater, Bubba Gandy's Seafood Market, Chicken Salad Chick, McAllister's, Texas Roadhouse, Cane's Chicken, the Rationale Kitchen, Midtown Social, the Exceptional Bean Coffee Shop, Checkers, and then the new one in Monterey.
Yes.
Sapori.
Day Napoli.
Okay.
I'm glad you started it for me. But also, I'm starving now, so we have to go eat after this, hearing all those.
If you haven't been to the new Italian restaurant in Monterey, it's great.
So good.
It is, but you need to go early because they have a long waiting line to get in. So restaurants, just all of a sudden, they started booming too after the retail did. But Amy, you brought up a point that we were talking about in the break. We service not only the region with all the surrounding counties and our folks that live in our county, we service the interstate.
The I-40 corridor. I mean, that's what we were talking about earlier. When we're sitting, I mean, just even going to get a coffee earlier.
Check the Chick-fil-A drive-through.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's, Seven Brews, Starbucks, everything is out to the road. If you look at those license plates, they're from all over the country. Yeah. They're not just here. I'm talking New York. I'm just like, what are they doing over here? But we service the I-40 corridor, and they're stopping here.
You think of all the thousands of cars that travel on the interstate every day, and we have become the stopping point between Nashville and Knoxville.
Yes.
One thing we look at when we're looking at events and stuff, we've got people that are wanting to come here. We've got people that are already booking the new convention center, and we haven't even started advertising it yet. But the hotel cost in Nashville and Knoxville and these other places, and the cost of food and all those kind of things, and the traffic and everything is I won't say forcing, but it's making these events want to get out to somewhere else that they cannot have.
We appreciate
that. We love it, don't we?
Because between games, between events, they're shopping in our downtown, they're shopping out on Interstate Drive, they're spending money here with our small businesses, and all of that has a ripple effect at the end of the day.
Yeah, and John, with the city and county, that quality of life, we've done a lot with sporting facilities that bring in. Y'all got a great sports facility on Jackson with the softball and baseball. We got the soccer complex and lacrosse. We got Cane Creek. We got Jerry Wish. We got a bunch of them that bring in a lot of these events. People come here, they stay for a weekend. Moms go out and shop,
Yes,
and
they
then
go shop.
eat and all those kind of things, and then they go back home, and we get those sales tax and hotel motel tax dollars.
Our leisure service department does a good job working these tournaments. They bring in a lot of folks. The administration of the city, the council, they continue to make investments in our facilities, improvements to our parks and rec options here. I think it's all very important and good for our community.
Yeah, expansions with Cane Creek, right? You guys just expanded it, added a dog park and
new pickleball courts.
Pickleball courts.
We just did new ones. And
CPAC's doing a renovation. Dogwood Park's having some improvements. They're going out to bid soon, or going into construction soon. So, lots of attention being made
quality
there.
of life. And we talked earlier too about events. I think our community was hungry for events, and you got the tree lighting at Dogwood Park, you got Fall Fun Fest, the Touch a Truck, 4th of July fireworks. We added the Christmas on the Square event this year that turned out really good, that we're going to do an annual event. We got a lot of stuff that goes on that attracts folks to want to come and spend their time downtown. I was thinking, shout out to Melinda Kiefer, which was our cityscape director, and of course was economic development at the city also after that. But our downtown, the square and the west side area was dying.
Yes, it was.
And something had to happen, or it was going to totally die. And Cityscape came in, renovated all the utilities underground, everything it looks great, and it revived that section of town. Now the west side is just booming.
I like to say it's because the town center was put there 21 years ago, but
and
that was the main reason why they put that down there. Is there was no business on the west side then, really, other than we had one antique mall that was sitting right at the corner, and then no, I don't. I'm just kidding.
No,
it wasn't because
it
the town center,
was.
but
That was
there was very strategic placement put across, and obviously Cityscape, and the city of Cookeville, and the county had a lot to do with that.
When you go back and look old historical photos, the west side was it.
That's the place to be because the rail there, everything else.
Shopping, everything was right there, all those stores, and then it just kind of died away. But now it's back vibrant. You try to go over there on the weekends.
Yeah, it's
Get in the
wild.
restaurants, and it's crazy, John. And the city's done a good job. Now you've increased the footprint of Cityscape all the way over to Tech, across from
Yeah, I
the
mean,
hospital.
we had a Cedar Street improvement project where we added some pedestrian and improved pedestrian
The
and
lighting is
bicycle
beautiful.
infrastructure and did some decorative lighting. It's definitely dressed things up over there. You know, we've seen where you do that, you start to see investment too. I mean, we did some recent sidewalk and street improvements on Jefferson, and you saw that as a catalyst to have people go in and start making investments in their buildings and cleaning some things up. So and making improvements. So yeah, that public investment can really spur along private investment too.
Well, and with all that stuff we've talked about, there's one other thing that we needed that we didn't have a lot of, and that's hotel rooms. I had looking back at the hotels that we've added. Let's see, Marriott Town Place Suites Hotel was the first one. Candlewood Suites, we added that one. The new Holiday Inn on Willa. Then we added the new Home Two Suites where the old Holiday Inn was on Jefferson. But yet, Amy, even though we've added all those new hotels over the last few years, we're still
Yeah,
short.
we need
aren't
more. We need more of that. I mean, also the number we were talking about healthcare earlier, and talking about all these businesses. So many of those entities bring in doctors who have to stay here for a short time, or the Averets they house people. So we need more hotels that will house the business community as well as those coming in for tournaments, so that we can get more tourism in the area.
You need to work on that. Get some.
Yeah,
one out there.
we'll do it.
We only got a couple minutes left. What's the future, you think? I mean, I'll start with you, John. What do you think the future looks like for us as far as economic development in our community?
Well, I mean, hey, I think the future is very bright for us, for sure. I think our focus has been on higher quality, higher paying jobs. Our cooperation and partnership with Tennessee Tech's been very important in our efforts there. I think we're going to continue to see a lot of interest here. I think we're going to see interest in housing development and retail development and industrial opportunities. And I think it's important for us to be focused on, maintaining our infrastructure, right? I know that our city manager, James Mills, and all the council, that's been a very important part of the city's investment here recently is our improvements in 10th Street. We're doing an improvement to Stevens Street, the South Jefferson Avenue project, and we've continued to keep that front of mind. We need to continue to make investments, important investments into our infrastructure here.
How you see it from the chamber side, Amy?
I feel like just everything that he was talking about, all the jobs and making sure that we're bringing in high quality jobs is going to be very important. But also, we're from the chamber standpoint, we really want to make sure that also our small businesses have everything that they need to thrive, because we have, like we talked about, we only have 2 vacant buildings in our entire footprint of our historic cityscape footprint.
We had 92 ribbon cuttings in 2023.
And so
and
we want to maintain that while also having all of this retail and everything else, so that the entire, I hate to use the atmosphere of the air, but really that everything's working well together. And also focusing on housing and making sure that we are supporting all of our, because between Tennessee Tech, Ball State, and TCAT, we really have this perfect area of education and workforce development too here in Putnam County. And so focusing on how do we lift that up so that we continue to bring in other stuff that supports it.
got to make sure all the pieces of that cog are working together, and they are. We just got to
Maintain it.
We got to keep them going. And I was kidding about the ribbon cuttings, but we set a record in 2023 of ribbon cuttings, and most of those new businesses were small.
They were all small
mom and
businesses.
pops businesses. We had about 40 or 50 this year, which was still really good. And
64.
64, okay.
64 is what they told me.
So there's
I got to tell the mayor, 64.
it wasn't a record, but it was still good. So, but we just need to keep things going. And I appreciate y'all. Appreciate the working relationship that we have and the great community we live in. We're very blessed.
We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate y'all. That's our show for this week. Hope you join us every week for Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and may God continue to bless Putnam County.